Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you for joining us to acknowledge the recent signing of the Memorandum of Understanding for the provision of military satellite communication services to NATO. So let me first welcome our four signatory states represented by Monsieur l'Ingénieur Général Yves Cadeca pour la France, General Roberto Nordio for Italy, Mr. Nick Pickett for the UK, and for the US, Mr. Matt Warren. And let me also welcome Mr. Kevin Chind, General Manager of the NATO Communication and Information Agency. As you may well know, last June, NATO ministers endorsed an overarching space policy for our alliance. This important milestone was further complemented by the declaration of space as a recognized operational domain at the London Leaders Meeting. NATO depends on space for a wide range of activities, from intelligence gathering and navigation to tracking forces around the globe and detecting missile launches, to name but a few, such as space situational awareness, space environment and its effect on military planning, and indeed satellite communication, which is why we're here today. Space is essential for our deterrence and defense, and our new policy is not only designed to bring allies closer together, to share capabilities and information, but also to look into broader cooperation opportunities. This will ensure the effective provision of space support and space effects to the alliance operations and missions. NATO also aims to serve as a forum for political military consultations and information sharing on relevant deterrence and defense-related space development. In coordination with the military authorities, we are currently developing an implementation plan to better understand the uniqueness and complexity of space operations, in addition to a space roadmap. And a space roadmap will be developed to address a number of policy, conceptual, and legal challenges as the alliance pursues its effort in this new domain. It is important to note in this context that NATO will primarily rely on nations, organizations, and selected partners through official agreements and ad hoc requests. This new Memorandum of Understanding on the provision of the national military satellite communication services will give the alliance access to critical capabilities for the next 15 years. It is a major development of critical importance for the alliance and our largest common funded service contract to date. So with this, let me turn to the architect of this project and the NCI agency that will manage the use of capabilities provided by allies based on what our commanders require. So, Kevin, the floor is yours for a few words.
Thank you, Camille, and thank you, gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to be here and an honor to recognize a significant milestone for NATO. At the outset, I'd like to thank many of the people who have been participating in this and working months, if not years, in order to reach this point. I'm going to be selfish and thank my team up first, the NCIA legal team, the acquisition team, and our communications team. They've put many long hours and days into this. I'd also like to thank and recognize the national teams of negotiators and technical experts. A great deal of work went into that from all the nations, and there was good collaboration along the way. And I don't want to forget also the industry that builds these satellites, literally tens of thousands of employees, men and women across the NATO industries that create these unique satellites so that we have this capability. I want to thank you all for your professionalism, dedication, and enthusiasm. May 7th, 2019 was a historic day in NATO. The NATO nations authorized, as Mr. Grand indicated, authorized €1 billion to ensure satellite communication services for NATO for the next 15 years. This is the largest authorization ever recorded at a single investment committee meeting. I want to thank the committee and the nations for entrusting the implementation of this project and this capability, which has such strategic importance to the agency. After our successful negotiations with US, UK, France, and Italy, NATO has been receiving already the benefits of this program starting on 1 January 2020. We've had no break in service, and so we've hit the milestone and delivered on time. So congratulations to all those involved. I'm proud that the agency has led this project from its inception, and that we're now operating the capability to ensure services provided to our military for operations and exercises are more robust, more secure, and more resilient than in the past. We look forward also to welcoming to our team those national technical experts that will come in and help deliver these services embedded in the agency. Satellite communications is an essential element of the space domain, which, as Mr. Grant had indicated, we have a new policy on and we're working on. It's been on NATO's agenda since the late 60s, and in fact, we had an experimental satellite, NATO had an experimental satellite with the US in the late 60s. NCI agency has been involved with satellite communications since the 70s, our predicate organizations, that, our predecessors, and in fact, those organizations actually procured and operated satellites in the past. Space capabilities are vital for the alliance, and some of you know NCIA is reallocating some of its space capabilities, its resources, its staff and funding in order to establish a new space technology center in order to support the space policy that NATO has put into place, and that we look forward to big things from that space center in the years, months and years ahead. Thank you again. Generals, admirals, ambassadors, thank you very much, and Camille for this opportunity. And thank you to the teams for their hard work and dedication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would now like to invite the four signatory states and Mr. Scheidt and Mr. Camille to stand up in front of the backdrop, show their assigned copies for a photo. Thank you.
Upside down. Excellent. Thank you.